All right, y'all. So yeah, this week we're talking about referrals and in-person lead generation. Last week we talked about more of the online space, but for those of us who want to make more of a local presence, hopefully this will be kind of a good spot to think about. Referrals obviously don't have to be in person. We just lumped them together because they're our last two, I guess, segments or whatever. But yeah, we talked about previously that referrals are really great sources for leads because you're borrowing other people's trust. Like, for example, if I have a friend who recommends me, the person that they're recommending, they trust my friend. And so by default, they trust me a little more. And think about like whenever a friend or a family member says, "Hey, this movie is really great," or "This podcast is really great," even though you have no context to it, their recommendation builds that trust already. And so, in a similar way, as people are referring over to you, either from a personal side or professional side, those can be extremely valuable. So, yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts on who you are already thinking about for referral sources or um who are actively referral sources for you or who you would like to be in partnership with so that you can exchange referrals and things like that.
So yeah, I thought about um, at one point maybe putting up a shingle at the courthouse or something, or a card at the courthouse. They used to call them shingles a long time ago, but they write on a shingle and then put it out in front of their shop, and that's what their name brand was. So that's why I said shingle. But yeah,
Yeah.
just put out my card, my information, or whatever. Uh, I was thinking more of like at the courtroom or something like that, where you can get whoever's going in there to file for divorce or just getting married. That could be a place to get some leads at. If
Okay.
that's what you want to work on. So because I'm thinking that I would like to work with people who are struggling either with health or natural disasters, which we're about to go through another one on Monday probably, and I'm not really looking forward to the weekend and Monday. That's kind of the people that I want to deal with because that's where I have most of my pain points, and people in this area, they have that, either dealing with storms and having to rebuild their homes, stuff like that, and those people go down to courtrooms and FEMA and all that kind of stuff too because they're in struggles with their contractors or whatever. So a lot of those people
Yeah,
show up at the courtrooms also, and that's kind of
absolutely.
where I thought I could probably get some leads at, as a courtroom.
Yeah, that would be really good for, like the in-person, I guess advertising or yeah, lead generation. I wouldn't say it's quite referrals because it's more so like they see you, your business card, your sign, but it's not really recommended by like a person. And so perhaps like a referral is like maybe you go out to the courthouse and say, "Hey, here's what I do, here's the people I work with." And build that relationship, say with like the receptionist or with the attorneys or whoever is there, and then building that relationship so that they can refer and give their, say, "Oh, someone's coming in with money issues or some kind of life crisis. Let me refer them to Garrett." I'd probably be more of the referral perspective. In
Yeah,
person, like you said, that in-person presence of here's like a physical building where I could put my sign or put my business cards, of course with permission, right?
Hmm.
Then like
right.
that's definitely a possibility too. Thanks for sharing that, Gareth.
Yeah, and kind of bouncing off of what you said too, like people going in for divorce, like a really good referral might be a divorce attorney
Right.
because they deal with people every single day who are going through divorce. And it's a lot of people who come out of divorce struggle a lot with money. And so it might be a good person to create that relationship with that, they can refer the people they're working with post divorce to you to help them work through their money issues.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the big emphasis on referrals is that relationship building. Like it's not like medical referrals where like, "Oh, here's a specialist, let me just refer you to them," having no context to who they actually are as a person and as a practitioner. Like the reason why referrals mean so much for us as coaches is because, we're a reflection of the referrals that get sent to us, but also the referrals that get sent out. And so the people you're wanting referrals from, hopefully, like you're essentially like an extension of their business and their trust. And so you also want to reflect that well. Um, but yeah, I think Joey, you had unmuted earlier. Did you have some thoughts?
Yeah, I was just thinking about using basically other coaches as referrals. So like, um if you guys if I saw somebody that I couldn't see or maybe that it was not a good fit for me, then I'd be like, "Oh, man, Teddy or Samantha or Garrett, like they're the perfect ones for you guys, you know." Or vice
Mhm.
versa, if it's like a veteran or military member, they'd be like, "Oh, I got Joey's number. He's ready to go for you." You know, like that kind of
Yeah.
like warm leads and referrals within our social network, I think would be really good.
Yeah, that's actually one point I forgot to put on the slides because, yeah, like you said, I have no context to veteran life or the benefits and all that stuff, and even just like how um, service members think, right? And so perhaps having them sent over your way would make a lot more sense than me trying to work through their type of work, right? Whereas, maybe certain coaches work better with couples. I'm sure y'all have heard of Angie Carlson, and she does a big thing on money communication. I was actually going to send a referral over to her. Only thing is my client's not like in the mind space to work on like that stuff yet. But yeah, I think that's a really good point that us as coaches, we're going to say no to quite a few clients, right? That we may not be able to serve well, but we still want to serve them. And so having other coaches available, definitely good.
Yep. No, it's funny because Teddy, you and I were talking about the other day, like how I am a more tough love kind of person. Like I'm gonna tell it like it is.
Yeah,
Where
I'm a
you're
softie.
not,
Yeah.
you're a little bit soft.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing. It's just a different personality type, right?
Yeah.
And so if I come across a client that, or I have a consultation with someone that needs isn't quite ready for like all my tough love, isn't ready to hear it like it is the way I, you know, portray things, like I might send that referral over to Teddy because they're like our personalities don't match. And right within my network, I have someone whose personality might work better with that client. So not only with like their situation, but also just personality types, different coaches are going to work better with different people.
Yeah. And kind of get some other thoughts going on other people who we can build relationships with for these referrals. Really, every single conversation you have is a potential for a referral, right? Both in your personal life and your professional life. Anyone who hears about your business and the type of people you help, that's a referral source. But more professional referrals being like financial advisors, financial planners, if you want to get connected with another smart vestor or you have your own smart vestor, right? The financial advisors that are connected through Dave Ramsey and get to know them and their practice. Not all of them are great. I will say that there are a few that are kind of just in it for the referrals, but there are a lot of genuine ones out there too that really want to treat your clients well and educate them. And so having a direct referral to them and from them will be awesome. Same thing with accountants. For whatever reason, it's like super hard to find an accountant here in Denton, which is stupid, even though it's kind of big. But having accountants that are working with tax problems, working with people who are like, people talk to their accountants about their money problems because that's their accountant. They see all the numbers and all that stuff. And so sometimes accountants aren't the most personable people to help you through some of the financial issues, right? Um, and another idea is also mental health practitioners, counselors, therapists, social workers, people who are working on the mental health side of things aren't traditionally trained for the money side. And so having someone in their back pocket say, hey, I know you've been talking a lot about your money problems. I have my friend here, Joey, who's, a financial social worker, and he is really great, blah, 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 right? Other people, pastors, community, resources, things like that, are really great other opportunities because they're all in the same space of people who are seeking help. Um, I've yet to see it just because, like for, say, health coaching and moving from one kind of health or life coaching to financial coaching, I just haven't seen that. Not saying it's impossible, but if you think about it, those clients are really focused on self-development. If you can find a bridge that can connect you with those kind of clients too. But
I'll bounce off of the mental health like practitioners and people is I have a referral partner with someone who is a specialist in ADHD, and we had a conversation, like one of the first conversations we had was almost every single one of her clients because of their ADHD, there's some correlation that they are just bad at money. Like that's what she said. They just are bad at money. And so she has like my name and number and stuff, and we'd have conversations where she would kind of offer my services to her clients and send them my information so that they can be sent my way. So even in the mental health space like ADHD, like listen, I have ADHD and I was really bad at money until I learned about money. So it doesn't mean that people can't be good with money. It's just inherently there's some disconnect between like the way their brain works and how money works. And so that's a really good space to get into if you are open to working with kind of the major disconnect between, you know, the way brain works and money.
awesome. Yeah, like some of the other things I have going is like I reached out to probably like 3 or 4 mental health practitioners and just even doing joint events or webinars and things like that, not only to build a relationship and collaborate with them and spend more time with them and learning their practice, they're learning yours, but you're also double adding value to their clients and your clients. So yeah, referrals slash partnerships and all that stuff, it's a really great way to start building kind of those highways for referrals. And to build off of that, there are 2 types of referrals, right? The referrals that come to you and the referrals you send out. And so the ones that come to you, those inbound ones, those are your leads, right? The ones who are seeking your help, you can talk to and hopefully convert them to clients. But you also have outbound referrals where you're sending out to tax professionals or accountants or mental health practitioners, um, where you're able to better serve your client by giving them more resources. And so both of these are built off of good relationships. And I wanted to kind of get y'all's input. Have you had clients free or paid through inbound referrals, or have you not been a good fit for, have your clients not been a good fit for coaching and you've sent them to an outbound partner?
So, what I guess I'm really focusing on people who are in transition instead of just like struggling or whatever. Because I thought about having real estate agents and all that helping me out also. But yeah, I've had a paying client and just really didn't hear from her after like the second thing because maybe I'm just not in the law enforcement and I don't know what she was looking for really, And I'm guessing that it would have probably been a really great fit for you because she was going through disability, trying to get disability, and I'm not really all that great with disability, even though I've kind of touched on it a bit in my own life. But it was just that she had a lot. Her husband had a lot of student loans. He's a sheriff. And she's going through. I think she had a stroke, and so she was getting laid off from work and trying to help her out. And I actually did help her. I mean, she said it on the next call that I got on with her. She said that she cut her kids off from the phone bill, and she saved like $300 a month. So I know I saved her some money. And then my mental health coach, she also said that she would refer people to me because I know what I'm doing. Because I recommended that she either find her a partner to share with the office expenses or to downsize. And she ended up downsizing and saved like $200 a month, plus a lot of headache because her prior landlord just took off and didn't want to have any more to do with business. So she's actually said that she would refer people to me because I know what I'm doing. It's just I guess I just wasn't a good fit for that one client, and haven't really been able to get clients since then just because of my health issues and other things going on and vacation and working a lot. But
Yeah.
I have tried to get some more clients, and just I guess just that client just wasn't a good fit. I should have outbound them to you, Teddy. You know, so that would maybe I could give her a call back and say, hey, look, I know we didn't work out, but hey, this guy here might work for you. You know.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind that. So I appreciate the thought. But yeah, like it's one of the very interesting things about solopreneurship, right? Where we're running our own business is that lead generation is a lot of work. It is absolutely a lot of work. And the amount of volume of conversations, of posts, of whatever that you have to do is so much more than we ever anticipated. One of the things actually in the a new FCMT, I think they encourage is having 100 conversations about your business, right? 100 conversations, like 10 a day, that'll take 10 days. Like, do you think you can have 100 conversations every month? That's like three a day. That seems doable, right? But like, what if you needed 100 conversations every week in order to start like getting clients in? Like the scale of work is completely different, right? Like, do you think if you really want to generate clients, are you willing to have 100 conversations either in person or on social media about your business? Just think about that. Okay. And the same thing with referrals, right? Like you you want to cast your net out there to find the referrals, and also you're going to vet your referrals too. So you may reach out to 50 people who are potential referrals, but I really in practice you're going to end up narrowing it down to at least the ones you're sending out. Like I only send out to like two or three financial advisors, and then most of them are already like in a group, like in the same practice. Um, just because they did a lot of vetting for me to know what kind of coach I was. And I was like, oh, shoot, like that's actually really important that they're not just sending anyone or sending their clients to anyone, right? They really trust the referral. And likewise, I'm also working on this. I think Sam, you talked about it too, where we're trying to refine who our network is, like a closer circle to people we truly trust, not just someone with a title or someone with the credentials to serve them, right?
Yeah, because the big thing is your outbound referrals are a reflection of you and your business, right? So you don't want to just send people out to anyone because people trust who, right? This is what referrals is. We inherently trust the people that we are referred to. And so if they turn out to not be able to do their job correctly or they're rude or nasty or whatever, that's a reflection on me because I sent them to that person. So that's where what Teddy was talking about, all the vetting comes in, is because you need to make sure that they, as a person, are going to treat your customers with the same level of respect and care for them the same way that you do and holds a lot of the same values that you do, so that like everything's kind of like a level playing field. It's not like we have, this level of professionality and then I don't know if that's a word, but it is today. And
Mm.
then we have someone who's like rude and demeaning and
Yeah.
doesn't really care about the people you're sending them. So just to remember that when you're talking to people, like, and you're creating that referral base, that they are a reflection of you and you are your business. So that's just an important thing to remember too.
Yeah. And kind of moving on from that, like talking referral programs, incentives, bonuses, offers, whatever you want to call it, things to incentivize people to refer, right? For me, one of the things that I've been moving towards recently wasn't so much like I have referral programs where if I get a client from a referral, then I'll pay, um, like $200 or whatever for like as a thank you, right? Or maybe credit them $400 in services. But another direction that you can do with referral incentives and referral uh, programs is something like, hey, if you invite 50 people to your Facebook, to this Facebook group, you can get a free coaching session or something like that. I actually had two people take me up on that off. No, two and a half-ish people take me up on that offer. Um, and I got probably like 15 or 20 people added who actually filled out the questionnaire to join the Facebook group. And so that shows me if they answer the question to the Facebook group, they have some kind of financial goal they're working on. Now, the majority of those who are invited are probably going to ignore the invite and whatever. But just that type of referral opens me up to different social circles I'm not usually in, and building off that trust. And I've actually got a couple of engagement in the Facebook group. So I'm hoping that that'll keep snowballing in terms of just being able to serve and the reach and all that stuff. But have y'all ever thought of referral programs, either like paying referral partners for clients, paying clients for new clients, or incentivizing anything like that?
So yeah, I have thought about it before, not so much on the coaching thing, but it was health coaching, and I thought about reaching out to somebody and asking for referrals, and I would think about paying them some money, and also for client acquisition, we would also we could get like $100 between referrals, and like if I would give $25 and somebody else would sponsor me another $25 and somebody else would sponsor another 50, you know. So it was like a lead up, it's more in the MLM type industry where I would give $25, my coach would give $25, and his coach would give $50. That's kind of how that worked. So I never did get a client, but I did have other people that I talked to that ended up going with my coach instead of with me. And so my coach ended up giving me a referral bonus for that, even though it was coming down. But yeah, he still gave me a referral bonus because I'd actually got this client on board. So yeah, that's a way to do it, just I have thought about that, just going out into the general public, like, hey, I'll pay you money if you'll send clients my way. And clients, I mean, that's just not somebody. It's just somebody that I know, and and I know that they know a lot of people, and a lot of the people that they know is the same people that I know also. So that kind of work like that. It's somebody that actually knows me and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. Like one of well, it was like my third client or whatever. I actually, that one was a referral from a friend or a coworker or whatever. And way back, like a year ago, when I started my practice, I was like, hey, I told them about a referral bonus, and they ended up referring her friend to me without even remembering about the bonus. And I just like Zelled her $100, and she was like, Teddy, why'd you send me $100? I was like, remember that conversation we had like forever ago? I meant it. She's like, okay, cool, thanks. But yeah, like I think I mean, the fact that she referred without the bonus, that was like the biggest compliment ever, right? Because it's like she truly believes in the work that I'm doing so much that she shares that information. But really the referral bonus is kind of like a thank you. And I think you also kind of brought up a good point, Gareth, about MLMs, because I know a lot of people in the coaching space give off kind of the MLM energy, and referral bonuses sound very similar to that. And hopefully, what y'all can take away from this is like, this is all out of a heart of generosity and like gratitude for business, right? It's like how we approach referrals and stuff like that. We don't want it to seem like it's an obligation or it's just some way they can earn money, right? That if the person who genuinely believes in your services will refer, we just want to thank them for that. And yeah, so there are some legitimate MLMs out there, don't get me wrong, but there are a lot that are like, I'm sure we've all had our run-in with a few, so I don't have to speak too much on that. But yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, Gareth. It's good perspective on how we want to treat referrals, not always transactional and business, but some want to be a little bit personal about it. It has that relationship aspect because our business is relationship heavy and really focus on trust. Any other thoughts we have on referral programs or questions about
Yeah,
it?
my biggest thing with my referral program is, and I think this is important for anyone, is to have like terms to it, right? Um, like my terms, I had one and I've retracted it because it just doesn't fit in with the way that my business is programmed anymore. So I'm gonna write up a new one, but for now I took it down. But make it clear you can retract it at any time. Mine says that it's like, because right, it's a referral bonus, which you can say, well, I referred someone to you, but they didn't sign on. So mine very clearly says it's like if you refer someone and they sign on to do coaching, then you get the bonus. But it's not like, oh, I sent 10 people your way and nobody signed up, so now you owe me X, hundreds of dollars.
Hmm.
Um, so it's just structuring it in a way that makes sense for you and your business, but also being fair to the people that are sending you the referrals, because
Hmm.
you want them to, you know, I don't know. To me, it's like I want people to think that I'm taking them seriously, especially if they're a new referral partner. I want them to know that I appreciate them and that I actually, you know, care about them. And it's also about keeping in touch with your referral partners too. Like, don't just have one conversation, expect them to send you referrals. That's not going to happen.
Hmm.
Um, I at least like every 2, 3 weeks, like check in, send a message if I haven't heard from them, and say, hey, let's set up a call sometime soon. Like, it's been a while since we talked. And, we'll just have like, and then it's having more like life updates and conversations as you get to know people more. But the relationship part is really important, but also making sure that your referral program makes sense for you and your business, but also the people that are sending you the referrals.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point because at least a lot of times it's actually more cost effective for us to give services as a referral bonus. And so, Sam, like you're saying, if you want to have a referral program that's not directly tied to them signing on, but just tied to like lead generation instead of client generation, you could gift services. You could gift like a PDF or a course or something like that too, right? There's in the social workspace, they call it, in-kind benefits. So it's not cash benefits, but a service or a product or something like that you can give that's less cost to you, but a higher value to your client. Um, yeah. And then
And
Joey, I
also,
think you,
oh,
oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
Also, remember that some industries, like real estate, for example, if you have referral partners that are in real estate, and I know this because I went through my real estate like licensing stuff, is like they cannot accept cash gifts. Like there in certain industries there are very strict like guidelines in terms of what you can receive as like a referral bonus or stuff like that. So you have to be very careful, and also just, right, it's not necessarily your responsibility, but it also kind of is your responsibility, right? Like they're not supposed to be accepting of anything, but you just want to know what the guidelines are for the industry that your referral partners are in, to make sure you're not doing anything illegal. So that's just an important thing to take note of too.
Joey, did you have something? I saw you unmute earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, I was saying that I've found like you were mentioning like community building or integrating with different networks and like I as I've started kind of getting into the podcasting space, I've started to see a little bit of progress towards like being part of a community first and not actually selling anything and just being like, okay, I want to be a part of this community. And then
Hmm.
if like there's buy-in from that community, then they will actually support you and potentially, give you leads. But like I just recently I'm gonna be on a live stream tomorrow morning with a couple of YouTubers and military, they have a military retirement podcast. I started reaching out to them and we coordinated and now like there's going to be a mashup of our audiences, and so like I might
Yeah.
get some eyeballs from their audience and vice versa. So like that's kind of a thing that I've been looking towards, is pushing for kind of a community mashup, like merger of sorts. And then nothing's happening yet, but it's still getting more eyeballs to my content and my eventual services. But
Yeah.
it's a long journey, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I'm in the same boat with you, Joey. Like, I just started getting on podcasts like this past couple months. And it's like, oh, the first podcast got like 200 views. I'm like, okay, it was actually one person had took me up on my call to action, which is to sign up for my free course because I get a little email notification when they create an account and stuff. And I'm like, that's it, just one. But that content, that podcast, that video, it lives on forever. And so each time you're doing it, it's stacking on the next. And plus, it may open the doors to new opportunities. Say, hey, I was on this podcast and you want to check it out. I'd love to be a guest on yours. And you bring up a really good point. You're mashing audiences. And especially if you're moving, I guess, to a podcast influencer, whoever has a bigger audience, then you're able to reach more people, right? And so it also gives you a little bit of clout of just like, oh, I'm on like a little bigger platform. And so they already did the work of building their audience, and you just kind of feeding off of that, not necessarily feeding because you're exchanging your value added to them. But it's also easier than building your own audience. So yeah, I think that's a really good point. And yeah, I love all the work you're doing in the podcast space, Joey. It's pretty neat.
I will
Yeah.
say though, it's a lot to manage, like trying to coordinate like schedules and interviews and like my time and my work and everything. Oh man, it's a lot.
It is absolutely a lot. Yeah. I'm like taking lunch breaks because like in 2 weeks from now I'm going on another social work one and I'm gonna do it in the middle of the workday for a lunch break. I'm like, ah, I mean, I
Nice.
look forward to it. I don't take lunch anyways, but um yeah, it's a pretty neat partnership there. So I want this to be an encouragement as we kind of gear a little bit more towards like the in-person referral and lead generation that leads are created in conversation, right? Either one-to-one conversations, one-to-many conversations, or they're experiencing some of your value added from your content, which is like kind of like a one-way conversation, right? But leads don't just appear out of nowhere. And so I'm actually in when I started financial coaching, I wanted to depend heavily on paid leads because I just thought what I thought where leads came from, right? Quickly learn that is not where leads come from. And in fact, paid leads are oftentimes pretty challenging because you don't really know their background. You didn't nurture them before they reached out and all that stuff. And so the best leads come from conversations. And so the thing I talked about earlier, are you willing to have 100 conversations each week in order to build your clients, whether that's hosting a few podcasts that reach 20 or 30 people at a time, or sending out direct messages, or going to a chamber of commerce event and you're talking to referral partners and things like that. Just think about the scale of the type of conversations you have. And if you're not bringing up your coaching business in at least like 50% of your conversations, it'll probably end up become challenging to start building your practice because one, as you're having conversations, you also clarify your own messaging, but two, just people don't know what you have to offer unless you tell them. And so to them, you're just telling them in that conversation, but to you, it'll feel like you're just having conversations every single time about the business. Luckily, we all enjoy the business, right? So we talk about it super naturally. But the people who are newer to coaching, to building their own business, it'll feel really overwhelming how many conversations you're having. But to everyone else, it doesn't seem like much. Like you can spam your social media probably 5 times a day, which will feel like a lot. And most likely, a lot of people will only catch like one or two of your posts. Just reassurance that you're not really being spammy or overbearing with how you talk about your business. Because if you're truly passionate about it, it'll just come naturally. Like how you talk about it is natural. How frequently you talk about it is probably a little less natural. Um, but yeah, some quick points on in-person networking, some places that you can go to. We talked about referral partners, and so you can just go directly to those offices or to those people. But other kind of like hubs for networking are Chamber of Commerce. Each city usually has one. So like here, I live in a small town outside of DFW, but even our small town has a little chamber of like maybe 50 or 100 people, and which is good because you can build relationships. But then the neighboring city has one, the big city next door has one, and so I'm going to like 3 or 4 Chamber of Commerce events and meeting people. That's actually how I found one of my financial advisor referrals because I like the business and how they vetted me. And, they instill a lot of trust in who I am as a coach. And so likewise, I have a lot of trust with them as advisors. But yeah, other places like agencies that serve your ideal client. So if you're looking for veterans, maybe the VA is a good place to start networking. Online, well, we already talked about the online space, but online you can find the agencies pretty easily. If you want to work with victims of domestic violence, they have programs and agencies that you can work with. If you want to work with, parenting groups and new parents, then find those agencies. Other ideas, local meetups, if you have like church groups, Bible studies, PTAs, things like that. And one other point I want to emphasize, if you haven't looked into it, I don't know what it's called in the other states, but I think it's Georgia and in Texas, they call it the Small Business Development Center. They probably have that in most states. It's essentially like a publicly funded program that goes usually through a community college or something. And not only do they help you with early business stuff, and like a lot of the resources are free, but they can connect you with people too that would be good to be referral partners. And so those are just some ideas. One other thing you might have heard of is BNI. I think it stands for like Business Networking International, something like that. I don't really know, but that's also an option. I haven't explored it, so I can't really speak on the outcomes of that or the type of referrals that come through there. But that's something I've heard of. If Gareth, I think you're signaling you may have had experience with BNI. I think he's having trouble unmuting. There he
Yeah,
is.
I'm just connecting my thing to the battery, but yeah, I haven't really got into the BNI. I know it can get expensive, and then also like you were saying, that the community network at the Business Development Center, I have gone to them about my Amazon store that I had going on, and they were able to advise me a little bit on that also. So yeah, they could advise you on the financial coaching because they actually helped the person who's teaching me how to podcast, which I haven't got that going either, but I've learned a lot of stuff from it, and it's helped me with my coaching. It's helped me with a lot of other things also. But they, the person I actually talked to had actually helped her. That's how I got into that office space there and talked to the guy. So yeah, it's all that's all a legit thing. They're going to the Business Development Center, and it is at a local community college. And so yeah, I was actually able to take care of that. And like I said, I had somebody that would have sponsored me, but whenever you go to a BNI, you can only have one person in that group that does this one thing. And I've heard that it is kind of expensive, and sometimes it just gets to be a big social meeting instead of actually a referral meeting. People just want to be friends, not refer. So you have to be really specific on, hey, this is my business, refer me. You have to tell them to refer you. But that's with anything. You have to tell your
Yeah.
clients, hire me as your coach. You have to have a call to action some kind of way. So I heard the call to action is really important in the BNI also.
Yeah, yeah. And kind of to build off of that, it's important when you're having conversation with referral partners, especially, well, the ones who are professional, right? The financial advisors, the realtors, they do that, right? They refer. But the ones who don't really know are those friends and families, are your clients that don't really know how to talk about your business. Because I mean, y'all can attest to this. We didn't even know how to talk about our business, and it's our business, right? So how can we expect other people to know how to talk about our business? And so when you're having conversations with referral partners and saying, hey, it'd really mean a lot if you can share a little bit about my business and some of the transformation you've experienced in your life. And as a thank you, I have these referral programs. Something as simple as that, sharing their own testimony. Um, but if you're able to dial in the messaging of what you offer as a financial coach so that it's easy for your clients to repeat back to someone else, or easy for your friends and family to understand the actual work you do, then that's part of that, how to asking someone, that's part of how you tell someone how to refer, right? It's not just, oh, they're a financial coach, period. Or, oh, here's their social media, period. No, you say, no, this is the type of people they serve. This is how my life was changed by it. things like that.
I just lost my train of thought for a moment there. The thing is, whenever you get in those meetings, this is what I was going to speak to. Is sometimes they don't know how to talk about your business, so a lot of times you could ask them just to, hey, pass on my information, a little bit of what I do, but have that person contact me so I can actually take care of that person exactly, and let them know exactly what I do. But yeah, you could tell them he's a financial coach, but to actually get that person to let you know what they're doing, actually tell the person that's referring you, just set up the meeting for me, and I'll let them know exactly what I do. It's another little hint that I've heard from other coaches also.
Just in terms of in-person networking and stuff, a good place to find meetings near you. I mean, you could just search Google, but I actually found one near me on Alignable. It's a networking for professionals app, social media thing. And then a lot of times, if you go to free meetings like that, there are people who go to other networking events. Some of them are paid, so I will forewarn you of that. But a lot of times it's not expensive. It's maybe like 15, $20 to go to certain networking events. And the ones that are paid are typically more geared towards serious networking and like more professional conversations than the free ones that are more just general conversations, getting to know people, like how was your day? Um, Again, it varies group to group, but you typically are going to find more like honed in professional people in a paid environment. But it's not terribly expensive, so obviously within your means do it, but it's a good option to explore too.
The last thing we had was like some stuff on business cards. Honestly, I'm cool with just taking this part out. A lot of the stuff, if you want to have like a pretty decent business card, you can just go to the old YouTubes and find like just basic things to watch out for, to not include, to include, things like that. I personally spent a lot of time on my business card because I had fun with it. Whether that actually leads to conversions, usually not. But yeah, see QR
Mm.
code on the
Yeah, put a
business.
QR code on your
Yeah,
business cards. I don't care where it is. That's the one thing that I will say because you could put your website on there. Nobody is going to type in your website. Nobody does
yeah,
that anymore. So if you want people to go to your website, you need to have a QR code on anything. If you're doing postcards, it needs to have a QR code. If you have a business card, it has to have a QR code because nobody is going to type in your link.
yeah. But honestly, though, like I used to think that, oh, let me give out my business card and that's what generates leads, but it's not. So when I first made it, like just my face and stuff, and then I made like the back with the QR code, and I was like, oh, this is nice. I spent 20 hours on this. People are gonna love this. Most people don't even like take a second look at it. It's just like something pretty, and it helped me overcome some of like, oh, now I have like a business. Like I'm respecting the business. So that more so helped me with that. Um, but yeah, I have like 1,000 of these just sitting under my desk.
Okay, can I just give just this is just me. This is not what everybody says. This is just me because I don't know. Because I am the way I am. I don't think like I from my networking events have tons of business cards from people. They're all white.
You're hating on my
None of
business card, Sam?
I'm so sorry, Teddy, but we've had this conversation before.
We
They're
have had
all
the
white.
conversation.
None of these stand. This one stands out to me because it's a different color, and maybe this one because it's pastel. But like, none of these really stand out to me all that much. They're white and mostly blue. Pick a different color. That's just my opinion. Mine are my company, like my business colors are green and like kind of beigey or golds bordering, whatever. So my business card is like the majority of it is green. So if I put my green one in the middle of that stack of white, like it's gonna stand out. And so people might be, I mean, I don't know the psychology of it. I don't know if that's true, but to me, it's a lot less boring than staring at another white business card with blue. So pick a different color. That's just my
Out here.
opinion. You don't have to listen to me, but that's just, I'm tired of
I
looking
was
at white and blue business cards.
I was going to add the card that I showed y'all a moment ago. It's actually called a dot card, and you
Mm.
can link
Yes,
it
yes, I've looked at
to your
those too.
profiles and all that kind of stuff. But another thing that I haven't done yet, but that I'm hearing a lot of now is let it send them to a landing page or somewhere where you would ask for their email. That way you can actually have a conversation with that person. You have their contact information when they go to when they scan that QR code or something, you grab their email address, so that would be a good thought.
We're like, we have thoughts. Um, I think there's a way on most websites too to add, like, when people load your page, that the first thing that pops up is like a box for them to put their email. You might, it's not necessarily a landing page, it's still your website, but you can still add that feature. So the first thing they see is like enter your email, and then you have more people that are kind of getting added to your email list.
I appreciate kind of everyone's thoughts on referrals and in-person networking. And the key takeaway is it's all about volume that you're gonna have to build clients, right? Not only will the volume build your experience and how to have these conversations with people, but if you're casting a wide net a lot of the times, even with the people who acknowledge there's a need, you still just have to build those conversations and those relationships. And then 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, they may reach out to you. And so having those relationships, nurturing them, just being comfortable having those conversations in person and online, you never know where your next client will come from. If you post on social media and you see only 2 likes, but you see that 13 or 14 people looked at your posts, I don't know about you. I look at a lot of posts that I don't interact with. And so put in the work, put in the reps, and hopefully it'll get more comfortable over time. But we'll see you next week. Thank you for watching to the end of the video. I hope you got a nugget of information or a breakthrough that'll help you on your journey. And if you want more content like this, go ahead and click over here for more videos or over here to subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next one.